Hey y'all, so this week we are working on our self-portraits. We're actually drawing our self-portraits this week. But before you can start drawing, you will need your template. And your template needs to actually match up like how mine did in the video. If your proportions, or if you had trouble matching up your proportions, then your picture is probably at a bad angle. If your selfie was at a bad angle, you could have been looking up your nose or looking to the side. If you only see one ear, because you're turned a little to the side, if your nose isn't pointed directly at the camera, that will throw your proportions off. Now you could use one like mine. However, if you use one like mine, it will make you look a lot more like an adult. The only difference between your face and my face is that yours are squished a little bit. Your eyes are still the same size, but your head is a little bit smaller than mine, and so using my template will make you look like an adult, and we want to make your self-portrait look like you. All right, remember this template is for everyone. That means you can draw anybody in the world based off of this template, and it'll get you halfway there. Now, this week we are specifically working on self-portrait. So even though I can show you how to draw a basic face, it is up to you to make it look like you. Now you need to pay attention to your eyes, your nose, your mouth. How big are they? What are they shaped like? Where's the placement of them? Especially work on getting your hair right, because your hair is a great indicator that it is you. Now later on in this video, I'm going to have a couple of different hairstyles that you can choose from. You don't have to stick to these exactly. You should be able to find one of these hairstyles though that can help you draw yours. You don't have to watch all of them. Skip till you find the hairstyle that looks like yours. But make sure you watch the beginning of this video and make sure you watch the part where I show you how to draw a basic face. After that, then you can start skipping. Last but not least, no tracing. No tracing. I know you can bring a picture in the sketch of school. The only picture you should be bringing in this week is your template, okay? Your drawing is a lot like your handwriting. I can tell immediately if it's you or not. You can sign your name on somebody else's artwork, but I still know whether or not it's you because I know your handwriting, I know your drawing style. I will also know if you've been tracing. Tracing is a great way to learn. It opens up doors, but if you want to learn how to become a better artist, if you want to get better, you cannot trace. You want to learn to draw on your own, to create your own ideas, you got to stop copying other people's ideas. Now, if you want to learn how to draw a certain style, so I had people asking about Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, Avatar, My Hero. If you want to learn how to draw in that style, take the same template that we did from last week, choose a character's face, draw that template on that face, and that'll help you learn how to draw yourself in that style if that's something you wanted to learn how to do. These are just for my artists out there that want to learn how to get better, but for everybody, no tracing. Continue watching the rest of this video to learn how to do your assignment. We need to begin by bringing in our template. So I'm going to choose one of the ones that I've drawn this week. And then you can slide the bar at the bottom to change the level of transparency or opacity. I like to turn mine down just a little bit because it makes it easier to draw on top of. I don't get my lines confused because we're not going to leave our template in after we start drawing. Before you start drawing it off too, also make sure that you can draw on top of your template and take it away and just your drawing stays. Make sure to test this before you begin. I would hate for you to have to start over. The first thing you can do is start by tracing the outside face shape. I am taking my time here to make sure I get this right. Everybody's cheeks and chin are a little bit different, so you may have to change yours depending on the template that you're using. Pay attention. Do you have a round face? Do you have a square jaw? Do you have a pointy chin? All those things make you you. I did go ahead and draw in my ears here, and I brought out my ruler just for a second to make sure my ears lined up. Remember, they should line up with the bottom of your nose and the top of your eyes. To fill in your ears or to make your ears look more like ears, you can just add in 2 little curves, and that will give you all the detail you need for your ears. I'm going to start on my nose next. People tend to draw way too much detail for a nose. You only really need to focus on the bottom of your nose. I'm going to show you 2 ways.
The first way is by drawing a large curve in the middle with 2 curves on the outside, making sure not to pass our guidelines. The second way is to make this little bumpy line. It's the same principle though. Big curve in the middle with 2 little curves on the outside. You don't typically want to show your nostrils too much. Again, you shouldn't have taken your selfie looking up your nose. We just barely kind of see your nose. I'm playing with different shapes here to try and match my nose the best. Now, I did make the areas around my nostrils just a little bit darker. And this should be all of the detail we need for our nose. I am not going to draw a line going up towards my eyes. So your nose should sit on this bottom line, and it should not go past the dotted lines. If your nose goes past the dotted lines, you're drawing your nose way too big. Next, we're going to work on the mouth. If you want to give yourself a smile, we're going to do a very slight curve here. Typically, people, when they try to give themselves a smile, do like a banana curve. It's really curved. You really just want a simple curve. Do not do something like this. It should almost look like a straight line. Now, we're not going to make our mouth quite as big as our line. We're not going to go all the way to the ends of the dotted lines. We're going to come in a little bit and leave room. I'm going to start with my bottom lip. And I'm not going to touch the corners of my lips. Again, we're implying what is there. And because your bottom lip has a shadow, I'm going to make it a little bit thicker in the middle and taper it towards the ends. So I'm not actually outlining my lips because then it'll look like I'm wearing lipstick and we don't want that. I'm just showing where there will be a shadow. For the top of my lips, I started in the middle with my Cupid's bow and did a little dip in. You may not have a Cupid's bow or may not be as defined as mine, or it could be more defined than mine. So you start in the middle with your lips and then go out towards the ends. Notice the curve in my lips is very subtle. And I added a little bit of a curve on the ends to indicate that I'm smiling more and that my lips are pushing into my cheeks. Here I was playing with a little bump on my chin because I have kind of a pointy chin. But I decided less detail is better and ended up taking it away in the end. It may be different from you. It may look more like you if you put in little chin details like that. Now I'm starting with my hair, and I'm starting at the hairline and erasing what my hair would be covering up, so I'm erasing parts of my ear. I am going to speed this part up because I have several different sections on hair. If you want to learn how to draw your hair, you may skip to those sections, but make sure you come back to see me draw the eyes. I also decided to change up my chin shape, or my face shape, just a little bit here. So I'm starting with the eyes by zooming in all the way. And I put a dot where both of my dotted lines should be. The inside dotted line is the inside of my eye, and the middle dotted line is the middle of my eye. So I added just another dot to where I think the outside of my eye should be. Now, the circle, remember, is our iris. So the top of our eye is going to cut off our iris just a little bit because our lids cover our eyes. Your eyes are a lot like a football shape, and the bottom of your eye should touch the bottom of your iris. Now, how you draw your eyelid is completely different depending on who you are. My eyelid sits right on top of my eye just like this, and that's what that top line is. Yours may sit up higher, yours may be smaller. That is completely dependent on your eye, and I'll try to put in some bit more footage later that you can go back and look at eyes, or I'll at least give you a simplified version of the eyes. The hardest thing about eyes is making them look the same. Some people try to use a symmetry tool, and that's good, or that's okay, but it's going to look a lot better, a lot more natural if you don't use the symmetry tool, and you don't always know if your picture is directly in the middle or not. and then your eye gets drawn way off to the side, and you also don't want that. So I'm going to use the same technique here, but I'm going to speed up the process just a little bit. So I drew my eyes just a little wonky to show you this next part. So I'm going to use the cutter tool. It's right above the ruler. And if you trace around the part that you want to move or resize, you can resize just your eye and not mess with anything else on your drawing. You can also turn your eyes if you have upturned or downturned eyes, and you can angle them just a little bit differently. If you want to go for more of an anime or a cartoon look, making your eyes a little bit bigger will always look more like anime or more cartoony. Now, the thing that is really making my eyes look wonky here is not the size, it's that my pupils are in two different spots. So make sure you pay attention to that. I look like I'm looking up with one eye and looking straight in the middle with the other. So make sure you pay attention to your pupils. This cutter tool, though, works for any part of your drawing. I noticed that my chin is a little too elongated, so I'm going to trace right around my chin and move it up just a little bit. Now, it is going to cut it off, but I can race right around my chin and cheeks and just connect those lines back and make it look like nothing ever happened. Try using this tool first for your mistakes instead of just erasing everything. This might save you some work in the long run. Now I am just using white ink to put two little highlights in my eyes, and now I'm going to move on to my eyebrows. Now I really don't have much for eyebrows, but I did want to draw them in here because I wanted to show you how to draw eyebrows. So this line I'm drawing right now gives you a basic shape for an eyebrow, or the overall shape, but it looks a little cartoony, and I'm going for a little bit more realistic style. So instead of one line, I'm going to draw a bunch of little tiny lines that follow that same shape, but I don't want them to look like they're in a perfect line. So I'm going to go back in and add some little flyaway hairs, because our hair grows all in different directions. They're not perfect, but they are still going to follow that eyebrow shape line. And I'm going to do that same thing on both sides. Now that we have our eyebrows in, I can add just a little line to hint for the bridge of my nose. The bridge of your nose is always going to follow up into your brow line or where your eyebrows are. So I like to do those first before I show this little dip right there. But sometimes your nose looks better without them. It just is completely dependent on how you look and how prominent that is. Make sure you turn in your drawing without your template, but continue watching to see different hairstyles and different eye styles. So I'm going to show you more basic eye shapes, and in fact you don't actually have to draw the entire eye. You can start with just a curve at the bottom. That curve should sit just at the base of your circle, and then just do another curve at the top, but cut off the top of your circle because this is your iris. Your iris sits on your bottom eyelid, and your top eyelid typically cuts it off. Now, you don't even have to draw the tear ducts in the corner of your eye. You could just be shaping it with the eyelid. I'm showing you a couple of different versions of eyelids right now, and they really are what shapes your eye or distinguishes your eye from someone else's. You might notice that you have upturned or downturned eyes, or your eyes might be shaped a little bit different, and then you can add in the corners or the tear ducts of your eye and the other corner of your eye. Play with a couple different shapes of your eyelid. Look in a mirror, pull up a picture, and see where your eyelid sits. Now, it's always going to be somewhat curved because it should sit on your eyeball, and it's going to curve with your eyeball since your eyeball is a sphere. Also, do not draw in little lashes. Instead of doing that, just make your lash line a little bit darker if you would like. Just pretend that you're drawing on eyeliner. I'm going to continue to show you different versions of different eye shapes, and just skip to the one that speaks to you or the one that looks most like your eye.